Hello Internet, it's Mike White with 143 again. So I'm going to make a tutorial here for Michelle and try to save this leisure lake design. And the biggest problems with it is that it's got these, parts that are running through the design. It's got these little branches and things. And she just needs to get that font off the background. So we're going to see what we can do with that. So step one, obviously we're going to save the image. And normally I would want to save it in a folder, but since this is not my work, I'm going to just wing it there and save it in my downloads folder. I'll be deleting that later. And then I'm going to probably, let's scale it down a little bit. Let's reduce some of the fuzziness. So let's go here. We'll open that up with Photoshop. And then we're just going to go to our image size and we're just going to look at this until it seems clean. So we're going to take it down to probably like 800. We don't want to take it too much, but we do want to smooth out some of those jaggies that's from the JPEG compression. So let's, 800 looks good. All right, and then I'm just going to export and quick export as PNG because I don't want to start losing any more quality. Now that we're already scaling it down and we're working with it, let's keep it at the quality we have. So there's Leisure Lake. We're going to save that. And then we're going to pull it in. So let's just pull it in. I'm going to grab this PNG we just created. And I'm going to use the text and shapes module of Gigapixel for this. Well, actually, I might use Art and CG. It's going to give me some smoother lines in the middle. So I'll just use that. So Gigapixel is now upscaled at just 2 times. Okay, I have the setting set on 2 times. Let's set it to 6. 6 might be a little bit excessive. Let's go 4. Okay, that's giving us a 3200 pixel image. That should get some nice smooth shapes. Okay, so now it's saving. There's the 4x one. I'm going to open that up with Photoshop. Okay, so we're just trying to get this inside part. I don't know that she needs the black part as well. I got my tolerance set to 80. I'm using the magic wand. And I'm just going to start nailing some of these areas and smoothing things out. I'm getting close to the edge on some of these spots so that I can be, pushing into those little corners and those little bits. Alright, so that's probably about all we can do. In fact, we might not be able to do this part. That's about all we can do. Let's go ahead and pull these in. Because it's very tangled up in there. And that's what her problem was. She's struggling with that part because it's difficult. So now we're going to switch to our lasso tool. And this part right here, we're just going to draw it. We're just going to hold shift and draw along this line. Just kind of follow the curve. Grab that little bit that I missed there. And I just see a little bit of it getting involved with that other shape there. So I'm holding Alt to get rid of that part. And then we'll grab this. And I'm just kind of scanning the document as I'm moving around looking for any kind of problems. The selection so far looks pretty clean to me. So we're going to call this word done. And then just peek at this one real quick. Yeah, see there's a little issue right there. We'll just smooth out that burble. It's a new word I just invented. It's called burble. You all can use it as much as you like. Alright, so this is a little bit broader selection here, but this is one of those things where if it's my own work, I'm going to spend a little more time with it. But certainly for a tutorial, I'm just going to kind of rush through and show you a decent job, not a bad job, not a good job. So I'm just holding Alt, I'm following that curve. We've selected more than we want, and I don't really like the way my mouse moved at that time, so I'm just going to address that. And then we're just going to follow that curve. First thing I'm going to do is remove the parts that I don't want by holding Alt. And then just draw in the parts that I do want. And I hand slipped a little bit, but I'm not going to stop. I'm going to go forward and get the rough blocking of this shape. This looks like the hardest part right here. And then I'm just going to get a little more. You know, we're just kind of carving away at it to get the exact shape we want. You know, and I call this pushing and pulling. You know, we're pushing and pulling the line into place. And sometimes multiple passes is the best way to do that. That time I did back up because we're in the refining stage here. So, yep, that looks like the shape I want there. Draw through this. Draw through this. And I said draw through, that's an important concept to think about. You are just drawing through the part you don't want, or the part that you want to add. So you're not trying to trace all the way around the shape, or it would take forever, and you know, you might not be happy with the result. So we took away the part that we didn't want, and now we're trying to smooth out and add in the part that we do want. And I do find that it's nice to go a little past, you know, and a little more in than you would think. I mean, you don't want to get right on the edge. So the concept of the draw through is also needs to be combined with the concept of the follow through or the smooth out, you know, beyond the curve that you're looking at. And I'm kind of confused by what's going on with the letter here. It looks like this is just junk. So we'll just grab all of that, and maybe in the same pass we can round this off. Come up here and get all of that. And come back around to complete our little drawing. Yeah, that's definitely not part of the letter. So we're just going to come up, round this off. Oh, my hand wavered. It's doing that this morning. I haven't had enough coffee, I think, or too much coffee. It's one of the two. All right, so I've got that. Now I'm just going to take this part out where I did my little squiggle. And, you know, obviously you can do a better job than this. I'm just kind of trying to get it done quickly. And I've got the added pressure of the tutorial. It's weird how that works when you're on display and you know people are watching you. You're just a little more nervous and sensitive and make mistakes more often, which is terrible. I'm sure actors deal with that on stage. All right, so now we've got our basic shape. I'm going to do Control-Shift-N to start a new layer. I'm going to paint it black, turn off the original, and then just look for any flaws. And I do see some. So I'm going to grab my paintbrush tool and just paint those out. We don't want these little chunks out of our text. So we did most of the work with the selection tool, and then we just refine it up with the paintbrush tool. If you want to, you can do the whole, you know, hold shift to get a smooth line there. So I'm switching back and forth between paintbrush and eraser, and I'm changing the size of my brush to fit the situation. And you know, there you go. It's passable. This letter looks really clean. Probably could have done a better job, and that's the kind of thing I do too. Is I like look at my end result, and then I'll go back and do it again, and just kind of learn from the first pass. Okay, so now we're just going to export this as a PNG. I'm probably going to shrink it down a slight bit. Let's take it down to 1600. That's going to smooth out the imperfections of the selection process. That's why we want to go real big and then go smaller usually before we trace. So now we're going to trace. We'll do a new file here, And we are going to pull in that trace into Inkscape. So we've used Photoshop and Gigapixel and now Inkscape. And then we're just going to hit Trace Bitmap and hit Apply. And then we'll get rid of this image. And finally we'll do Control-Shift-R. And there's our SVG. And since it is an SVG, it's going to be perfect at any size and have really smooth, clean lines. Hey, Michelle, I hope this helps. Let me know. Take care.